Up next, Black Panther. It's always a daunting task of a character being given their own full feature movie for the first time, as it's uncharted water for not only the character, but to also the studio and the actor who has the responsibility of pulling it off. Some 10 years ago, Marvel Studios bet everything on an ambitious movie project called Iron Man, where a C-list Marvel character became a household name overnight and launched Robert Downey Jr. into superstardom as the eccentric titular character and his equally eccentric alter ego, Tony Stark. And to Chadwick Boseman's credit, he built on his performance as T'Challa from Captain America Civil War and really embodied this role as the King of Wakanda and stepping up to defend his family's honor and his own by facing Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger, who, in my honest opinion, is the show stealer in this picture. But that said, it's Michael B. Jordan. He's just a fantastic actor. Yep. Even if he's in a bad movie like Fan Four Stick, that movie could go stew in a dumpster fire, he made his incarnation of Johnny Storm enjoyable to watch. The story does have a formula that has been used by movies before, where the lead protagonist is outed from their rightful place of ruler only to return and reclaim it in a dramatic fashion. The fight scenes are well choreographed, the visual effects are amazing, and a soundtrack, especially with the collaboration of Kendrick Lamar and the enchanting SCA, is something to behold. If you weren't a believer in Black Panther before this, you will be after it. Raiden?
Oh, thanks. Well, I have to say, the whole movie itself was just an experience. Like, the thing is, despite the controversy that is held with it, especially when I went there, you see people come together, a lot of cultures, not just African Americans. I mean, it's like I said it's like I said one SKL ago addressing the controversy. This is a movie for each and every one of us. It doesn't just mean for one race. I mean, yeah, it's mean for us African Americans. It was proud to see a black superhero, even though it's been been done before. But to this stage, especially with Marvel's backing, it was, like I said, an experience. So everything from the set design, from the culture, just everything, whether you see it in standard definition or, I don't know, IMAX, I feel like you will feel something that you will hold on for forever, And though I do agree that whole trope with like, oh, ruling king or whatever, or any other thing, it gets vanished or supposedly dead. Yeah, that is a formula that just kind of sort of needs to stop, but kind of sort of needs to just keep that away, and then you kind of bring it back. Then it won't be like overdone. But yeah, as I said, everyone did their job. Chadwick Boseman, from Michael B. Jordan, from Andy Serkis, Forrest Whitaker, Angela Bassett. I mean, each and every one of them. Even though Letitia Wright, that plays Shuri, is personally my favorite character of the whole franchise, and I want to see more of what she can do, because I like how she's snarky. I like how she's smart and basically she's basically the smartest person, sans from Tony Stark to Bruce Banner. So there's your girl power for that, without just pushing down the narratives. But we'll leave that there, because we can go on a whole damn rant on that stuff. Trust us. But yeah, all in all, I enjoyed every single moment of that. And I know it's going to get tired. It's going to be tiresome to say, but Wakanda forever.
Do you see this one, Lids? Lids?
Okay. All right. Sorry. Cut out for a second. All right. I'll go. The last gasp before Infinity War punched us all in the gut. Brian did a job picking up T'Challa's story where the Russos left off in Civil War. Boseman did a stellar job as the new King of Wakanda, and the whole cast was great. Two other actors to mention: Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger. Good lord, that man is intimidating, charming. When that scene where he's brought forth to T'Challa and he's all like, "Hey, Auntie," that sent chills down my spine. And it's like, oh shit. And of course, Leticia Wright as T'Challa's sassy and genius sister Shuri. If they pick up where she left off in Avengers 4, I kind of want to see her as the next Black Panther, picking up where T'Challa left off after what happened in that film. I kind of want to see that. But it was this. If this is how we're gonna finish Phase 4, I'm glad that this is how we ended it before that happened. Yeah, I'm glad I saw this one. This is a really great movie.
And oddly enough,
watching Black Panther was perhaps one of the most unique experiences I've had in a cinema. I was always going to watch the film, but I was lucky enough to go see the film with one of my friends who happened to be from South Africa, specifically Ghana, along with two other South African foreigners who were all attending the local university. So watching the movie about an African superhero that took place in a fictional African locations with tons of specific references to African culture, I was overjoyed when I saw the look on my friends' faces as they lit up with both excitement and pride. It was here where I learned that this was a film that was made just as much specifically for South Africans as much it was made for your typical MCU fan.
And
visually,
sorry for interrupting. Just to let you know, I'm from South Africa. Eh?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
And the language that they use in that movie, although I haven't seen it, is called Xhosa. It's it's a Black South African language. So in Captain America, the second movie, I think.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think it's that or the third one.
It was Civil War, yeah.
Yeah, Civil War is the third movie.
Is that where that's the first time we see Black Panther, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and the prince and his father was speaking in Xhosa, and he said Nkosi, which means thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I know some of the Xhosa words, but not everything. So sorry, Andres, continue.
No, it's all right. That's very nice to hear. And while watching the movie, my friends were able to pick up on a lot of certain quirks and mannerisms. I think it was Black Panther's mentor who actually wore a particular garb with Ghana designs. And there were a lot of references to certain South African cultures that only a native South African could pick up on. So it's very fascinating being able to watch the movie from their perspective. Visually, the film embraces its cultural background with pride and provides a dazzling look at a character who is defined by both his culture, his upbringing, and his own personal experiences. We see the responsibilities T'Challa must endure as both a leader and a hero, while struggling to find his own path in life rather than copying the leaders that came before him, specifically his father. Of course, a hero is only good as his villain, and of all the villains we've seen before, Killmonger has probably been the most complex MCU baddie we've seen since Loki. His reasons for wanting to take over Wakanda feels justified, and the film did a great job at making you at least understand where he was coming from. He felt like he was screwed over by a country that, in his eyes, have only caused more pain and suffering due to their old traditions, and wishes to change all of that. Of course, his actions are motivated by hatred and spite, which ultimately leads to a clash of ideals between him and T'Challa, resulting in an entertaining climax. Though that's where I'll bring up my one critique of the film. which is that its special effects do leave a lot to be desired, as Killmonger and Black Panther look like two PS4 character models that haven't fully rendered quite yet. That plus their actions felt a bit floaty, and the environment wasn't nearly as exciting as what was going on with the rest of the cast. Specifically, the fact that we've had like warriors with sci-fi weapons and rhinos beating each other up. Though, given what we already talked about with Infinity War, I had a feeling that Disney was saving most of its budget for that particular project.
Yeah.
Overall, it was a very interesting MCU film that, while a bit predictable in some cases, did offer up some very interesting viewpoints, some great characters, and overall a very dazzling and very unique visual style.
One thing I was particularly impressed with visually, and this also, I suppose you could count this as visual, particularly with the camera work, is when they're in that casino scene and the way the camera is panning around the whole room and going up the stairs and making it look like it was all done in one take. I did look at that and thought, okay, that's not bad. And of course, you get Stan coming in, just collecting a few chips. Pretty much, I'm like, Stan.
Oh yeah. And I do want to add a little extra thing where I really enjoyed the look of Wakanda, where it was essentially a metropolitan city with like zero influence from European or American culture. Where it's like you definitely got yourselves in real life. You have a lot of metropolitan areas within South Africa, but of course, they all take a huge influence from British culture. So a lot of its cities do feel quite westernized by European and / American culture. Here, it's like the look of Wakanda is like, imagine if African cultures were able to get to that point, but with none of the European influences. So you got yourself like a super unique style of buildings and marketplaces and all that stuff. And pretty much all my friends were like, man, I wish we were like that in real life. Wakanda forever.
One acquaintance pointed out to me, said, do you feel like in some places the movie did have similar beats to The Lion King? And I'm like, now that you mention it, I do not move for move, but there are certain pieces that correlate. Like when T'Challa is reaching out to his father on this, I suppose, astral plane where he's talking to him in a similar context how Simba is talking to Mufasa, but instead of talking up to the clouds, it's T'Challa's earthly bound spirit talking to his father, and the way that T'Challa is outed from the kingdom only to come back in and reclaim it. I'm like, okay, certain bits and pieces are starting to connect together. It's like, yeah, I do see it.
Or basically when Killmonger...
You must avenge my death. You must avenge my death, Kimba. I mean, T'Challa.
Oh, man.
T'Challa, you must remember who you are.
Oh, the how it should have ended one?
Oh, my God.
I think one instance that I recognize from Lion King is how, like, Killmonger just came in. It kind of reminds you when Scar just running afoul in the Pride Lands,
Yeah, rolling up. Sup, bitch?
if you're going to be accurate, his real name in the movie is actually Taka, but he changes it to Scar because of said scar through his eye, which I didn't know that his name had actually been changed to that beforehand. So I thought, okay.
What does it kind of sounds a bit fucked up if you think about it. Like, what mother would name their child Scar?
I know. I was actually watching that movie again the other night just to sort of refresh my memory before going into next year's movie, and that movie's aged incredibly well. And it's a kind of a look of a Disney animated movie that I don't think that they needed to abandon and just go to full-on 3D CG movies. Now, in the context of that, I'm not saying that Disney have to abandon those either, because movies like Wreck-It Ralph have been very entertaining from a visual and writing standpoint, but at the same time, there is something quite charming and magical about a classic Disney animated movie. I mean, could you really tell the same story as that of, say, The Little Mermaid, The Aristocats, or I think of another one off the top of my head, or something like The Emperor's New Groove in a CG story and still have the same kind of magical effect with it?
Not really, I think.
I mean, there's certainly a lot of charm, and there's a certain charm and certain quality that goes into a traditionally animated film that I think might be a bit difficult to replicate in CG animation, especially if you go into a very realistic direction like The Jungle Book or The Lion King. I feel like you're a bit more restricted on what you can or cannot do with those characters. Whereas with a more exaggerated art style, I feel like you can get away with a wider variety of art styles in 2D animation that might be difficult to translate to the realistic direction of realistic CGI. Like, I haven't seen the Jungle Book, but I have seen clips of the Jungle Book, and it does feel a bit jarring when you see like King Louie, which is this really intimidating, gigantic orangutan, suddenly start singing "Oh Ooby Doo, want to be like you." It's like, I don't think this is working.
But then again, it's not really a traditional Disney retelling of the Jungle Book if the animal characters are not talking, because I think you have the suspension of disbelief to think, okay, I know I'm watching a absurd fantasy movie, because obviously I mean, they have done a realistic Jungle Book movie before with
that nobody talks about anymore.
That was the one with Sam Neill and Jason Scott Lee. I mean, I don't mind that movie. I mean, it's all right, but
and also don't forget the similar approach to the live action 101 Dalmatians with no talking animals.
Yeah,
it wasn't too bad. I mean, I feel like you can feel the emotion from the dog itself without the talking.
And of course, we've got the other Jungle Book movie that's coming from Warner Brothers, which is just Mowgli, which that's supposed to be released. I think it was supposed to be released this year, but from what I've heard, it's either being put back until either next year, or the other one I've been hearing is they're going to release it as a TV movie. And I'm like, okay, that's, I mean, all right, you're going to reach a wider audience, but considering
it's going to be on Netflix.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That'd be interesting to catch hold of, because they're going to have Andy Serkis as Baloo, which I'm raising an eyebrow. Thought, okay, you have me intrigued, and the idea of Christian Bale as Bagheera. According to Co92 and Stephen Walker, it's already on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Okay, it's intriguing. I may just commandeer my brother's PS4 just to go watch that next month, because that'll be interesting viewing material. But you've also got Kate Blanchett as Car, which is like, well, you're an improvement over Scarlett Johansson, but that's not saying much.
Ooh.
Here's the thing: I don't hate Scarlett Johansson as a person. I just don't like her as an actor. I just don't think there's a lot of range to her. But that's just my take on her.
Ghost in the Shell. Never forget.
Oh, please, no.
Everybody would like to forget.
There are the only things I could say that I enjoyed from said disaster piece. The score, it's Ghost in the Shell. You know what you're getting, and the visuals are amazing, but those are where the good points end. Because, like I say, the guy they got as Bato, yeah, visually it's correct, but acting wise, like, dude, you're not Richard Epcar. Don't even bother. Because he owned that role along with Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who voiced the Major from when she took over in Ghost in the Shell 2, and when she went to do Standalone Complex, or what some people refer to as Gitstack. If you live in the UK, you'll understand what Git means. At least I don't think. Some people hope they know what it means.
In the southern part of America, not South America, just south of the U.S., the word "get" just is another word for "get out of here." Go on, get.
If only we're here, he probably would say something similar to that. Lids, for context, I'm merely just saying that's probably something he would say.
I know. I'm not offended.
No, you'd probably be offended if he woke up one day and he just said, "I think Nikki Bella is a great wrestler. Oni, go wash your mouth up with soap."
No, no.
That'd be like Raider waking up one day and say, "Brock Lesnar is my idol. I wish to follow in his footsteps." Then suddenly wakes says, "Okay, I need to seek therapy." No.
Yeah, I punched myself multiple times in the face if I ever say that I've said in my life.
I saw it on President's Day weekend with a former coworker. She and I had a blast with it. I kind of can't really say anything bad about it. It was witty. It was hilarious. It hit you in the feels button where it was supposed to hit you in the feels button. Again, well choreographed action, especially the freaking chase scene. Great pick with everybody they've used in that movie, especially Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, and Martin Freeman as the CIA agent.
Yeah, I like that guy.
I don't know what it is about Martin Freeman. He always manages to pull off his roles with finesse.
Yeah.
Bilbo.
Well, with mere finesse, depending on if you liked his portrayal of Bilbo in The Hobbit.
And
Watson, of course.
Yeah, Watson, however, perfection.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I loved every bit of it. I couldn't really find anything to hate about it. I couldn't even hate any of the characters, especially not M'Baku. In Earth's Mightiest Heroes, I wanted to punch him in the face. In Black Panther, I wanted to buy the guy a beer.
One thing that we made the point of saying is there are some points in the movie where it feels like it's borrowing beats from the first Lion King movie.
It does kind of have that similarity, but it's kind of to be expected with the setting taking place not only in Africa, but just the setting involving a royal lineage.